The Jets have a full load of work they need to work on after this very, very tough loss to the New York Giants. Today, we are recapping the New York Jets versus New York Giants game here on in preseason week 2. So, I mean, let's just start off with what a horrendous loss. I mean, this was. Even though it was just preseason, you still gotta win these games. I mean, I get everyone saying it's backups. Everybody's saying, "Oh, wait till they're, wait for the regular season. This is all gonna fix out." I mean, what happens if a starter goes down and these backups come in and this is how they're playing? What I saw last night out of this team was a very poor job of just football playing in general. So let's recap the game. Obviously, we know it was a terrible loss yesterday, but let's recap it. So first, let's go offensively here. Everybody looked sloppy on offense. Like Justin Fields, Brees Hall looked very sloppy. A lot of the wide receivers even looked very sloppy last night. A lot of penalties that need to be, adjusted and talked about. These penalties cannot happen anymore. Aaron Glenn literally came in to this New York Jets organization hoping to end the penalties. When will they end? I mean, when will they end? We saw what? I think it was like close to 13 penalties by the Jets last night. I mean, that's a lot in one game. You cannot have that, especially on a professional level. I'm still putting a lot of my trust in Aaron Glenn for for these penalties, but after last night, I mean, I don't know. Really, like I don't know. You just gotta hope at this point, honestly. You just really gotta hope. Uh, you know, and going back to Justin Fields, the playmaking was absolutely horrible by him. He had very poor accuracy and did not look comfortable in the pocket at all. On like last week against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, you really just cannot have that, especially as an NFL caliber quarterback. And I get, especially at his level. I mean, I get it's not the right offensive scheme. I get he's probably, he's playing against one of the best defensive lines in the league, but you still got to play better. This guy, we expected him coming into, to be a bridge quarterback, but over the offseason, everybody was like, okay, this guy's doing pretty good. Maybe he can be our long-term guy. So in terms of Justin Fields, I think he's just got to play better. I really think he has to play better. Last or 2 nights ago was not a good enough game for him. And going to the running backs, Brees Hall could not find a hole to save his life. He really only had one good run, and I believe it was on like second second or third down. I believe like he had one good run that entire game, and it was like what I think around 15 yards. However, speaking of the running backs, Braylon Allen had himself a day. I mean, look at Braylon Allen. 7 carries for 34 yards and averaging 4.9 yards per carry, nearly 5 yards per carry. Braylon Allen was averaging. I mean, he had himself a day. I think over the course of this whole off season in general, and this all both of these preseason games, Braylon Allen, excuse me, has severely outperformed Brees Hall indefinitely. Like I know a lot of people are saying, some people are saying trade Brees Hall, trade Brees Hall. I mean, you can't trade Brees Hall when the Jets obviously have a plan for him this season. I get he has not been the best running back, but I mean the Jets obviously have a plan for him. He's obviously shown that he can be a good running back in this league. I personally don't think Brees Hall is up to par with what we thought, a year ago when he'd be a top 3 running back. I don't think anybody thinks that anymore, and totally justifiable. And that's totally justifiable. But Brees Hall, I think, has to be better. I get sometimes it was the offensive line's fault, but a lot of times it was just Brees Hall. His vision is just really poor, and that's something you really cannot fix at the pro level. So that's something Brees Hall has to work on. But and staying with the offense, Adrian Martinez had a pretty acceptable game. Not too shabby, not too bad. Had some great completions to Arian Smith. And by the way, Arian Smith is continuing to prove week by week he's going to fit in with this Jets offense. I mean, I would love to see Arian Smith even get reps with the ones next or this upcoming game with against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this guy is totally outperforming the way than when what I thought he would be. Like I thought Arian Smith was just here to be like a wide receiver 5. I thought he was gonna be like in and out. I did not think the Jets were gonna. I did not think, excuse me, he was gonna click with this New York Jets offense. I really didn't. I really did not, and I'm actually very surprised and actually very happy that this guy is actually clicking with the offense. And that's why I really want to see him have some reps with the ones this upcoming week against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I'm excited for. But however, Aaron Smith, some cons that he does have to fix his route running a little bit because, you know, I think that Aaron Smith, he's shown signs of to be a great wide receiver for this team, but at the same time, his route running is not that great. I mean, you can go look at last night. His slants they looked a little wobbly. They didn't really look like a professional slant from a professional football player. They just looked a little off. I mean, a little shaky. Like he kind of, he kind of lost his balance a little bit. I think on one play as well. So I think his route running just needs a little bit of improvement. But other than that, I think he's having himself a great offseason so far. Some catching problems. We also saw a lot of catching problems last night for the wide receivers. They couldn't really, a lot of the backup ones specifically. I think Pritchett had a drop. Smith had a drop. Like they all had a few drops that were easily catchable balls. Excuse me. So I feel like that also needs, work. And let's just hope that Tanner Engshan can really, just improve that, because I don't want another Nathaniel Hackett situation where we just have a really bad offensive coordinator that can't do anything and make adjustments in season. Because last season or the past couple of seasons, the New York Jets could not make adjustments for anything. They never adjusted their play style. So let's just hope that this young, innovative offensive coordinator can do that. And sticking on the receivers, right? Malachi Corley. Jeez, bro. Malachi Corley is having one of the worst preseasons of any Jet player right now. The only thing that Malachi Corley has been known for this offseason is getting a personal foul penalty 2 nights ago against the Giants. I mean, that is it. Other than that, Malachi Corley has done absolutely nothing for this team. Malachi Corley he's just not good. I hate to say this. I mean, I've really tried to back up Malachi Corley. I've said it multiple times in my videos. But Malachi Corley is just not showing that he can be a wide receiver on this team. Right now, I don't have Malachi Corley being on my 53-man roster. I really don't. I have Quentin Skinner making it over Malachi Corley. Because, Corley I thought would be good use for jet sweeps, bubbles, and I still think he would. It's just they're not using that. So if they're not using it and he's not going to play to his full potential, what's the point in keeping him? I don't even think Corley has gotten a single target. I think he maybe has one target, but he doesn't even have a single reception this entire preseason. Going back to Quentin Skinner, this is why I think that Corley is not going to make it over Skinner, because Quentin Skinner, this entire offseason, I mean, he's on pace to make this 53-man. We all know that. But the reason why Quentin Skinner sticks out so much to me is because of his contested catch ability. I think he's the Mike Williams that we wanted from 2024. I mean, Mike Williams just could not get the job done. He was really, I mean, he sold us a few times. Denver was one where he had a bad drop. Buffalo, and that one against Buffalo, that was rough. And then he was traded at the deadline. So we hoped that Mike Williams would be the opposite of Garrett Wilson and be that contested catch, deep ball guy. But unfortunately, he wasn't. And I was really looking forward to seeing him in that role. But, maybe Quentin Skinner can rise up to the occasion and be that guy that we hope Malachi Corley was. Or, excuse me, that we hope that Mike Williams could have been for this team. Because, I really, really hope that Corley can, excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying Malachi Corley. Maybe it's because I'm so frustrated with Malachi Corley's playing over this offseason. So I don't know. I hope Quentin Skinner can really be that guy. Right now I'm a little lost. Right now with the Jets receivers, they haven't really been too flashy this offseason besides Quentin Skinner, I would say, and Aaron Smith. But other than that, obviously we know Garrett Wilson's a star. We obviously know that. But Josh Reynolds, I mean, his wide receiver 2 job can be taken any day now. I believe it could be. And no job is safe. I mean, even if you're going to have, Josh Reynolds could be wide receiver 2 come week 1. And then who knows, Aaron Smith, by any chance, could be wide receiver 2 by week 17. I mean, you never know. But staying on the offensive side of the ball, and I guess we can also shift over to special teams a little bit. How about Kene Nwangu having himself an off season so far? This guy went from not even being a thought on my 53-man just about a month ago to 100% making my 53-man roster projection today. After the game, I'm so impressed with the way that Kene Nwangu has been playing with this team. His running back abilities. He averaged around 5 yards per carry yesterday. That is a lot. That is way above average for any NFL running back. And again, he was playing against what, like third team defense and second team defense, but that's still really good for him. In comparison to Donovan Edwards, he played such a better game than Donovan Edwards did 2 days ago against the Giants. Edwards had himself a game against the Packers, but he didn't. He did really poor this today or a couple days ago against the Giants. And Kene Nwangu, even on special teams, he almost had a kick return touchdown to open the game up. I mean, here's a guy that I think that could possibly be the next Braxton Berrios type kick returner for the Jets. I mean, getting you a lot of good kick returns over the course of the season. I was at that Seattle Seahawks game actually when he returned it to the house against that Seattle kickoff team. So, I mean, I just really hope that Kene Nwangu makes this 53 man. I have him making the 53 man right now, but that's just all. We all have to wait. I believe August 26th, I want to say, around that time is when the 53 man roster closes. Let's move on to defense right now from last night. Brandon Stephens, I want to start with the secondary. Brandon Stephens really had a great game last night. A lot of deflections and great man coverage. There was a play, I forget who was running that route, but Stephens I would say it was like 10 yards away as the ball was being thrown. And Stephens just bolted right to him and just smacked it right out of his hands. I mean, that's something you want to see out of your corner, on the opposite from Sauce Gardner. And we all know that Sauce Gardner was injured last night. Let's just hope he's going to be good for week 1. I believe he is. But let's just us Jet fans with those calf injuries, man. I mean, that gives us PTSD. But again, Brandon Stephens, I didn't really have that much high expectations for Brandon Stephens heading into this season. Just because I didn't really like the signing at first, and I'm still not 100% on him, but I'm definitely a believer now. There's a difference between being 100% and being a believer, right? If I'm being 100%, I would have no doubt in my mind that he would be a great corner for this team. And I still don't know that, but based off what I've seen, I think he'll fit pretty well with this defense. And I may not have thought that just a couple months ago, but now I do based off what I've seen from him. He's been playing electric this entire preseason, and I love it. Andre Cisco, he had a decent game, but fumbled the bag big time when he gave up that huge play against Bo Collins in the first Giants possession. A lot of people were blaming that on Brandon Stephens, but I think Stephens did the right thing. He passed it off to Cisco when Bo Collins was doing that post route, and the safety is supposed to take that, but Andre Cisco just had his eyes in the backfield and wouldn't stop looking at Russell Wilson, and then it was too late. Bo Collins just beat him right, what should have been a touchdown, on that opening drive for the Giants, which is something you cannot do. Andre Cisco, we signed him to be a ball hawk, and he didn't really live up to that name last night. Quantez Stiggers, I mean, he's the backer for Sauce. We all know. I mean, we've all seen some really good things from him over the preseason, and I still think he had a pretty good game last night. He had a really good interception, great job tracking the ball actually on that interception. But some things he needs to work on is especially, I'll give it a perfect example right here. When Jalen Hyatt was running that comeback route, Stiggers just was lost. He was lost, and I get it. It's Jalen Hyatt, one of the best route runners in the entire NFL. But still, I mean, if this guy's gonna be the backup, not even the fourth string or the third string, but the backup to Sauce Gardner, I'm a little concerned with him in man coverage, but if Aaron Glenn, who's a former defensive back, can fix that in him, then I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not really worried, but he does have to work on his man coverage a bit. And still, defensive penalties, special teams penalties, offensive penalties, these penalties have to stop. Especially because, if it's coming from up front, there was a lot of holding penalties last night as well, which is something that just really irritates me. They just have to fix them. They have to fix them. We were the most penalized team for the past 2 years. Speaking of up front, though, speaking of linemen, I didn't really see much out of the defensive tackles last night. We saw a lot out of last week of Jay Tufele, and that's still a guy that I have on my projected 53-man roster, but other than that, we didn't really see much. Linebackers played solid, but at times they were really focused on keeping their eyes in the backfield instead of, walling off receivers, instead of focusing on their wide receivers that on the task at hand, basically. A good one is Boot Smith, number 48, a linebacker for the Jets. There was one specific play where I think it was that touchdown where the receiver came over the middle of the field and scored in the end zone. I forget, I believe it was Jackson Dart that threw it to him. And he ran a route over the middle and he caught it for a touchdown. Booch Smith just had his eyes on Jackson Dart the entire game when he could have literally walled off that receiver and prevented that touchdown. And that, again, that secondary could have seen that as well. And speaking of secondary, Malachi Moore was very, very aggressive last night, and I loved it. He had a few tackles, especially on like screens. When the Giants ran screens, he was very, very aggressive on screens. So I'm very, very happy about that. I think Malachi Moore is just going to be a dog for this team. I really do. Obviously moving on to special teams, Nick Folk. Folk is definitely winning the kicking battle so far. And Kene Nwangu, again, had an awesome game on Saturday, especially in that opening kick return. So, looks like that's all I have for today. I'm going to see if I can release a recap video tomorrow, and then I'll post that on Spotify. But other than that, it looks like we have no people watching right now, so looks like there's no point in taking callers right now. But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning into the stream. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. If you are new, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We reached 11 subscribers within 48 hours. That is the most I've ever gotten. 315. The goal is 350 by the end of the year. I'm Jack Cotter, your host, and I will see you all for the next live stream. And by the way, I'm probably going to be doing a lot more live streams come in the future. I'm going to be doing a lot of live streams. I could split it evenly between videos, or maybe I'll switch a lot of times to live streams, but I don't know. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching.